If you clicked on this video, then I presume you're close to somebody who just lost a baby or had a miscarriage, and maybe you're feeling that loss too. I don't know how close you are to that person, but I first just want to say I'm so sorry. And I commend you for trying to connect to that person whatever way you can. This is a video to hopefully give you a little bit of insight as to something that might be beneficial to that person in your life. And I know in the past when my friends have gone through things that I don't understand or can't relate with, I don't want to say the wrong thing and I want to do the right things, but sometimes I don't know what those are. I don't speak for every woman who's ever had a miscarriage. What I can speak from is my experience having 2 miscarriages and tell you the things that really impacted my life for the better, the people that showed up for me when I felt so isolated, and then the things that were said that maybe just really weren't helpful in that season of life. I'm gonna break this video down into like the 5 love languages that you could potentially do for somebody who's had a miscarriage: gift giving, words of affirmation, quality time, acts of service, and physical touch. And then you can then take those examples, think about the person in your life and what would really touch them and impact them the most, and tailor it to them and their experience, because every miscarriage is completely different. Every person processes grief completely different. Without further ado, let's get into it. When we lost our second baby, the first person who really showed up for me was my grandma. She currently lives an hour away from me, but she came to us and stayed with us, and she took care of my daughter that is Earthside whilst I was grieving. So that meant feeding her, diaper changes, bathing, playing with her, whilst all I wanted to do was be alone, process, grieve, cry. She kept things rolling for me those first couple of days. She took care of dinner, she took care of dishes. It's just like the boring chores of life. She went and picked up like a 5-gallon bucket worth of dog poop because I just hadn't done it. There was no desire in me to do anything like that, but she knew that it needed to happen. And so she stepped in and she practically did the things that needed to be done to keep life going. Not long after that, my mom and my dad came into town, and then they kind of picked up where my grandma left off. They took care of all of the breakfast dishes, dinner dishes, taking care of my daughter, bathing her, playing with her. Like I said, just keeping life moving when I truly I didn't have it in me. When we lost our first baby, it was prior to Adeline being born, and I could just take the time to be alone and kind of let chores go to the wayside because there was nobody counting on me. But if the person in your life has littles already counting on them, I don't know what that dynamic looks like, but consider just taking care of the house, boring things. Those are the acts of service that really meant the most to me. Words of affirmation that you could say to this person is, I'm so sorry that you lost your baby. I mean, I'm sorry for your miscarriage, your pregnancy loss. Also, you know, are meaningful. But what's really happening is they're mourning the loss of their child. So just acknowledging, like, I'm so sorry you lost your baby. Doesn't matter how far along they were. Whatever the stage, I'm so sorry you lost your baby. And don't say things that you don't mean, but statements like, I'm grieving right along with you. If you truly mean that and are close enough to that person that you are truly grieving with them, let them know. Now, something that I might avoid, and I don't say this to be calloused in any way, shape, or form, and again, everybody is different, but I had a conversation with somebody where she found out that I had lost our baby and then immediately tried to relate it to something else that had happened in her life, but it was really unrelated. And in that moment, I knew that she's trying to connect with me. I know that she's trying to create some sort of, I understand-ish the pain you're going through. But in that moment, when I was grieving my hardest, I wasn't able to really see that through calm, cool, collected, unbiased eyes. I was just looking at the world through my hurt, and it rubbed me the wrong way. And then I think she realized that I just really felt isolated and misunderstood by her because she was trying to relate it to this super unrelated thing that she went through. And then she tried to pivot into talking about the kiddo that she has and how much that kiddo has changed her life and how wonderful it is having a kid. And oh my gosh, you're just gonna love the day that you get to have your kiddo Earthside. It just completely, you know, changes the way you look at the world. It was like rubbing salt in a wound. Again, I think she was just trying to like encourage me and focus on there's a light at the end of the tunnel. Like one day you'll have kids and this is what it looks like and it's great. But at that moment there is no light for me to be seen at the end of the tunnel. I'm just in the thick of it, in the dark, crying. So I know it's so hard to sit in somebody's pain with them, and you kind of want to focus on the good things, but people's lives aren't always this like bright and shiny and glittery thing. And sometimes they just need you to sit there with them in the pain, and they know they'll get through it, but they don't want you rushing them through it. I'm gonna go into gifts, and it's not for the sake of trying to sell you something. In fact, all of the links that I'll have below will not be affiliated for that reason. I have nothing against affiliate links. I just don't think this is the video to use them. The items I'm about to show you are things that I wear all the time, things that I use all the time. With my first loss, we didn't even have an ultrasound to remember that baby by, and I just know I wanted something to remember them. When you lose a baby, it's not like a person that you've known your whole life and have all these memories with. There's zero memories, moments, special times to hold on to with that person. You're just instead left grieving the what ifs. What could it have been? What would our life have looked like? But you'll never know or have anything to like really hold on to, like their favorite stuffed animal or clothes. So anyways, I wanted something to remember them by, and these are the things that really meant a lot to me. The first one is something I got myself on Etsy. I got this custom made. It's a crew neck, and it says mama on it. On one sleeve I have the morning glory embroidered, which is the birth flower of my daughter Adeline, but on the other sleeve I have the larkspur embroidered. That's the birth month of the baby that we lost prior to her. So I'm choosing the month that their due date was in, not the month that I miscarried in. Along that same vein, after we lost the second baby, my mom, she pays attention, she's a gift giver. She realized how much I liked that, and that was something I got for myself. After we lost the second baby, she got this for me, and it is a crew neck that has all three of their birth flowers. So in September, it's either the aster or the morning glory. You'll find that most months have two flower options. So this is for Adeline. This is that same larkspur, and then in the middle is daffodils, and that was the birth month of the baby that we most recently lost. And then same thing on the sleeve, it has something to remember them all by. It says Adeline, and then it has the two hearts for the babies in heaven. Something she did also when we lost our first baby, I didn't have anything to remember them by, no ultrasounds. You don't always even have a body to bury, depending on how far along you were, or if you weren't that far along at all. And so I didn't have anyone to bury, but I wanted to do some sort of funeral, and so she got the like light lantern, floating paper lanterns. I'll insert some photos, and my husband and I went to some family's property, and we just ended up lighting those and watching them go, and you know, they ended up falling, and we collected them so we weren't like littering, but it was a way to have some sort of ceremony to remember them by, because there wasn't really an opportunity for a funeral and a casket. It's another one of those isolating odd things about miscarriage. But for the time being, whoever is in your life, if they have a baby to hold and to bury, or if they don't, that was really meaningful to us. This necklace was given to me by the person I referenced earlier, who didn't know the right things to say but was really trying. For a long time there, I wore it every single day until the chain broke. So it's old, it's faded. This necklace has a mustard seed, a baby's breath flower, and a forget-me-not. And wow, that gift meant more than anything she could have ever said. I know I talked to another mom friend who has lost some babies, and she has all of their birth stones in a ring that she wears, so she kind of keeps them with her always that way. My husband, on his keychain, it says someone in heaven calls me daddy, and there's two hearts for both of the babies that we've lost. I love this. He hasn't taken it off his keychain, so I assume that he doesn't mind it and likes it as well. Those are all things that were given to us that mean the world. When it comes to quality time with somebody who's grieving, if you're close enough with that person that they are comfortable explaining to you physically what they've gone through. Because miscarriage is obviously an emotional thing. You're sad and you're grieving the loss of your baby. But for the female, you physically go through something when you miscarry. And if the person in your life is close enough to you that they are okay sharing like the physical side of things, or practically the nitty-gritty, what that day, night, multiple days, ER trip, whatever have you, if they are comfortable divulging those details to you, I encourage you to listen. I know for myself, there's not a ton of people that whilst I'm going through it, I just want to talk about like that too. It's graphic, it's raw, it's heartbreaking. And if whilst they're in the thick of it, they're okay talking to you about those things, listen. It's so isolating. Yeah, 1 in 4 pregnancies end in miscarriage, but so many women don't talk about it. It's different after the fact because you've processed the grief and it might be easier to divulge some of those details. But if they're in the midst of it, just being open to a conversation like that and listening to them means the world. The last one's physical touch. I know that's something my husband did that I needed. I just needed to cry and be held. Sometimes I don't always cry and be held with friends. It just depends on our relationship, how close I am with them. There was one friend when I lost my first baby, I started talking about it and I started sobbing and she just held me. So be open to that, but again, you'll feel out those moments. They'll probably be pretty darn organic. If it feels like a forced, hug, you're like, oh, don't do that. That just it doesn't feel genuine or real, and so I think just feel out for authentic moments when the person is raw and open with you, and then step into those moments. Some people don't like touch though. Think about the person you're with, think about the relationship dynamic that you have with them, and then move forward with that. Like I said previously, I don't speak for every person who's ever had a miscarriage. In any way, shape, or form, I am not the spokesperson for all of us. I can only speak on my personal experience. So if you have gotten to this point of the video and you are somebody who has also had a miscarriage, write down in the comment section what helped you and what didn't help you. Were they different than what helped me and didn't help me? Because I want this video and this comment section to just be a resource for those trying to show up well for the people that they love in their life amidst one of the hardest things that person can go through. As always, thanks for watching, friends.